One question has always shaped how we live together. Who owns what? Or, more importantly, why does one person own something exclusively, making it unavailable to others? Across centuries, different thinkers have justified private property in different ways. To some, it is a natural right. To others, it is a path to peace, prosperity, or a limit to government power. Together, they reveal why private property has become one of the cornerstones of free societies. Welcome to Libertarianism.org's Learning Hub, an introduction to the concept of private property.
First, let's define private property. Ownership by private parties, essentially any group or individual other than the government. Ownership implies certain rights exist to secure, maintain, use, or dispose of property. In other words, private property implies more than just possession. Private property can be understood as an institution or a set of laws and conventions that links ownership to liberty, personal responsibility, and social cooperation. How? We can get some answers by trying to understand why we recognize the importance of private property.
The first justification appeals to the natural law doctrine, which states that there is a universal law based in nature that all humans and societies are bound to, without the explicit need for consent. How does this relate to private property? For John Locke, the justification of private property arises from the premise that everybody has natural property in his own person. In the state of nature, when one mixes their labor with the available resources, rightful ownership is created. Imagine a man walking through a forest and picking a set of apples from a tree. Before he touched them, they belonged to no one. But by reaching out, plucking them, and claiming them, he mixed his labor with the apples and made them his property. The same principle applies if he clears a patch of land, cultivates it, and grows crops. His labor transforms what was common into something privately owned. Locke and other philosophers saw a connection between the rights to property and our rights to life and liberty. This collection of rights were understood as the foundation for free societies. So much so that for Locke, the main purpose of a government is the preservation of property. This takes us to the next two justifications: personal freedom and a limit to government power.
Friedrich Hayek argued that private property secures individual freedom because it makes sure that no single person has absolute power over another. If a government controls ownership, all personal freedoms would be undermined and shrunk to the will of those in power. Private property, then, is not merely an economic arrangement, but a safeguard against domination, the material foundation of a free society. It is only because the control of the means of production is divided among many people acting independently that nobody has complete power over us, that we as individuals can decide what to do with ourselves.
Furthermore, Hayek believed that private property and social institutions in general arise spontaneously when people are left free to pursue their own goals. In other words, private property is the spontaneous result of human action. You can learn more about spontaneous order in our previous Learning Hub video on our YouTube channel. Now, beyond securing freedom, we can also find more utilitarian justifications that make private property also economically desirable.
For example, Milton Friedman made the case for private property as the cornerstone of economic prosperity. When individuals control the resources, they have both the incentive to use them productively and the knowledge to allocate them where they create the most value. Because owners directly bear the risk of their choices, they tend to act more carefully than any central planner could. Each decision made in pursuit of personal benefit generates signals through prices, profits, and losses that guide others in the market. In this way, private property transforms self-interest into coordinated progress, driving innovation, productivity, and a higher standard of living for society as a whole. Nobody spends somebody else's money as carefully as he spends his own. Nobody uses somebody else's resources as carefully as he uses his own. So, If you want efficiency and effectiveness, if you want knowledge to be properly utilized, you have to do it through the means of private property.
In conclusion, private property can be considered a natural right, a necessary element for personal freedom, a limit to government power, or the spontaneous result of social interaction. But we should also understand it as the pillar for free markets and the prosperity they generate. Together, they help us understand why private property has become the cornerstone of human flourishing and modern free societies. Want to know more? We invite you to read through our resources at Libertarianism.org, and if you like this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.